This is 6 Minutes, the Seriously International Daily Newscast. It's Friday, February 28th. I'm Jacob Shropshire.
And I'm Emma Albright. It's evening in rainy Singapore and morning time in a gray Suriname. It's cloudy and cold and just after midday here at World Crunch headquarters in Paris. These are the latest headlines. Trump and Zelensky are set to meet at the White House to sign a minerals deal. Talks have started in Egypt for the second phase of the Israel-Hamas ceasefire. And our daily quiz question comes from a launchpad in Texas. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is set to meet President Donald Trump and sign a deal for U.S. participation in Ukraine's mineral industry. The Friday meeting comes as Kiev works to regain U.S. support to fight Russia's invasion, even while Trump continues to pursue talks with Moscow. French President Emmanuel Macron and UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer visited the White House this week to try to convince Trump to include Kyiv on any negotiation.
In Cairo, officials from Israel joined mediators from Qatar and the U.S. for intensive discussions on the second phase of the Israel-Hamas ceasefire deal. The new talks are meant to negotiate a permanent end to the war, including the return of all remaining living captives in Gaza and the complete withdrawal of Israeli troops from the territory.
North Korea said on Friday it had tested strategic cruise missiles to warn its enemies of its counterattack capabilities and readiness of its nuclear might. The test launch came as neighboring South Korea prepares for its Freedom Shield military exercises with the U.S. next month. Now let's take a closer look at what the international press is covering.
Mexico hands over 29 drug lords, headlined Mexican daily La Jornada today with photos of Rafael Caro Quintero, a high-profile gang member who'd been wanted by the U.S. for the killing of an American agent 40 years ago. The extradition of the narco-traffickers to the U.S. is one of the biggest in Mexico's history and is seen as a major step in relations between the two countries since U.S. President Donald Trump threatened to impose tariffs on Mexico. In Germany, the Die Welt Daily is covering the launch of negotiations by center-right leader Friedrich Merz to form a coalition government after coming in first in Sunday's election. Merz wants to have a coalition in place by April 20th. Until a new government is formed, current center-right Chancellor Olaf Scholz and his coalition with the Greens continues to govern.
The Middle Eastern press is covering an investigation released by the Israeli army that acknowledged failure in preventing the October 7 attacks by Hamas that killed 1,139 in southern Israel. The attacks sparked the war in Gaza, where Israel has killed more than 48,000 Palestinians. The report concluded that the Israel Defense Force underestimated the capacity of Hamas in Gaza and opted to allocate intelligence and defense assets elsewhere, such as a focus on Hezbollah and Lebanon. We have a piece from French economic daily Les Echos about the potential impacts of Donald Trump's tariff hike on Chinese goods. Jacob, walk us through the story.
The piece in Les Echos is by Raphael Bellinieri, who visited Yiwu, an export hub for retail items made in China. Some businesses there say they aren't very worried about the increased tariffs, confident that good relationships with clients in the U.S. and competitive pricing would have little effect on their business. But others are less sure and worry that the tariffs could make what were already tight profit margins even tighter, squeezing out the small producers that can't afford it.
We also have a reportage from Spanish daily La Marea about life on the Ukraine-Russia border. The piece details life in the Ukrainian border town of Kozaka-Lopan, where most everyone has fled, and the few who remain live dangerous and lonely lives after the war has all but destroyed the town.
And Colombian daily El Espectador published a piece on superstar Shakira's return for a rare concert in her hometown. The concert last week in Barranquilla was timed with the Colombian city's famous Carnival, and Shakira's connection with locals comes not just from her stardom, but also the singer's humble way of enjoying the city like any local mom with her kids.
We're closing things out today with our daily quiz question. Blue Origin, Jeff Bezos' rocket company, announced the crew for a 10-minute spaceflight this spring, which will include his fiancée Lauren Sanchez. What music icon will also be on the flight to the edge of outer space? Is it A. Lady Gaga, B. Harry Styles, C. Bob Dylan, or D. Katy Perry? The correct answer is D. Katy Perry is set to join the all-female crew of Blue Origin's 11th human spaceflight, which will launch into space from West Texas. In addition to Sanchez and Perry, the crew also includes TV journalist Gail King, movie producer Carrie Flynn, former NASA rocket scientist Aisha Bowe, and researcher Amanda Nguyen.
That's the latest from around the world. If you liked this podcast, we would really appreciate it if you could help us out with a follow, a share, and a 5-star rating on your preferred podcasting platform. For more of the best of the international press delivered exclusively in English, visit us at worldcrunch.com. We'll see you Monday for another episode of 6 Minutes. Bon weekend.